Howdy everybody, it's me again, Randy Ray, the Literate Texan, and it is Tag Tuesday. And Steve Donahue posted yesterday the Booktube Dog Tag, and as I am a dog person, this seemed like a good tag for me. The Booktube Dog Tag was created by Danica Lee Ellis, and Steve saw it on Alex Unabridged. I will include links to Steve, Danica, and Alex in the description down below. And here are my answers to the questions. Number one, tell us about your dogs. Okay, I have two dogs, and I'll go in order of age so as not to play favorites. The older of the two dogs is Orson, who is named, of course, after the great Orson Welles. Orson is a puggle. He was a gift from my ex-wife when we were still married. He was born in October of, he's 13. He was born in October of 2010. So, and I got him in December of 2010 as a Christmas present for my wife. I was napping very soundly, I might add. And she came in and woke me up, which was really unusual. And I said, "Why are you waking me up?" And she said, "Well, look on the pillow next to your head." And there was just this gorgeous little pug next to me. But he's a puggle, not a pug, which means he's half beagle, half pug. And he's a wonderful dog. My daughters are just crazy about him. But he is starting to get to that age, where he probably sleeps more than anything else. And you can kind of tell he's got a little bit of arthritis in his legs. And even though I've got him stairs so he can come up and down the furniture, he even struggles a little bit with the stairs nowadays. He really likes to eat, and like a lot of pugs, he likes to pee on things. And I'll probably have more to say about that later in the video. I have another dog named Brockmire, and he is named after one of my favorite television shows of all time, which is also called Brockmire. It stars Hank Azaria as a baseball announcer. And wonderful, wonderful show. If you haven't seen it, look it up, find out about it. There were 4 seasons. Every episode is well worth watching. Brockmire, I got at the pound. And Brock, which is what I call him, Brock for short, for Brockmire. Brock is, I got him in 2020 on my birthday, or a couple of days before. My dad was in the nursing home and dying. And, he's in hospice care. And I got tired of sleeping alone since I'm divorced, and I wanted a big dog. Brock is a big brown dog with a sugar tip tail. He's got a little patch of white on his tail, and then he's got a white diamond shape on his chest. As near as I can tell from looking at him, and I'm no expert, he has got pit bull in him, and he's also got some boxer in him. That's my guess. And he can jump really high. He's really lively still. I think he was about a year old when I adopted him from the pound. He might have been 2. So best guess is he's 4 or 5 years old now. But he's been a wonderful dog. He's very affectionate. He follows me around from room to room. The only problematic behavior he has is he's very aggressive with other dogs. And this wasn't the best situation for Orson when he moved in. He and Orson seemed to get along fine. But they did eventually have a really big fight. It was really scary, and I felt really bad about it. But Brock's had some training now, and he behaves a little bit better now, but not when there's other dogs concerned. If a dog happens to wander through my front yard and that door is the least bit open, sorry about that. That's not an earthquake. I'm just screwing around with the doohickey that's holding the camera. I apologize. I don't know what I was thinking. Anyway, yeah, he's a great dog. I love him. He's well trained. He knows how to sit. He knows how to lie down. He knows how to stay. His recall could be a little bit better. And if there's another dog involved, he's not going to come when I call him. I have to go get him. So that's an introduction to my dogs. Of course, they have life stories all their own, and I could go on and on about both of them. But there are 6 or 7 more prompts. So I better talk about those too, right? 2, what would be your dog's favorite book? Well, Orson's favorite book would be a new one that's just now coming out. It came out yesterday, I believe. I haven't read it yet, but I did read an excerpt from it in the Washington Post. The name of the book is The Book of Charlie, Wisdom from the Remarkable American Life of a 109-year-old man, written by David Von Driel. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his last name right, or Trell. I don't know. Anyway, Orson's an old dog, and I'm sure in his mind he has a lot of wisdom, and he probably does have a lot of what passes for wisdom for a dog. But that seemed like the kind of book he would enjoy. The other dog, Brockmire, Dog of the South by Charles Portis, which is a wonderful book. Charles Portis is the man who wrote True Grit, which is a terrific novel. It's been made into 2 fine movies. Dog of the South is about a guy named Ray. He narrates the story. His wife or girlfriend leaves him for her ex-husband, and he's following the trail of credit card receipts to try to catch up with her. And on his way, he meets this fellow, Dr. Symes, who's got get-rich-quick scheme after get-rich-quick scheme. Real characters, really funny novel. You got to have a sense of humor about it. What a couple of kooks. He reminded me of the character in There's Something About Mary that Ben Stiller picks up, who has the idea for the 8-minute abs video, and they get into an argument about it. So that would be Brock's favorite book, I'm going to say. So there's more tags. There's more prompts here. Use the first letters in book titles to spell your dog's name. So I'm going to do this for both of them, and I'm going to show pictures of the book covers too. Brock. The first book is, and I thought it'd be fun to show off some of my virtual library. I'm always showing off my physical books on this channel, but the first letter of his name is B, and I'm going to choose Beach Read, which is what do they call it, romance novel by Emily Henry that I really enjoyed, and my daughter really enjoyed it too. And here is where'd it go? Here is you got to hold it at an angle to be able to see it, don't you? Here is Beach Read's cover. Anyway, terrific book. My daughter really liked it. We both read it and got a big kick out of it. And then, so yeah, if you get a chance to read that one, if you like that sort of, not like a Harlequin romance either. It's like one of these modern romance books that they're hoping is going to get picked up and turned into a romantic comedy on Netflix or something. And who knows, maybe it will. The next letter in his name is R. And for this one, I chose a novel by John Scalzi called Red Shirts, which is the best Star Trek novel that isn't a Star Trek novel. And there's the cover for that one. And it explores the idea of why the red shirts on the ships of these starships keep getting killed. B-R. Beach Read, Red Shirts. O. Old Yeller. I couldn't resist because, we're talking about dogs here. Old Yeller's a good book. It's sad, but I read it to my daughters when they were young. I read aloud to them as long as they would let me. And here's the cover for that one. And it's hard to see, but beautiful picture. For C, I chose a book called Case Histories, which is on my to be read list on my Kindle device. Case Histories is a mystery by Kate Atkinson, and Stephen King said it was the best mystery novel of the decade. I don't know about that. I think a lot of people are kind of skeptical of Stephen King's recommendations when it comes to books, because it seems like it just seems like it doesn't take a lot to get a recommendation or a blurb from Stephen King on your book. That's all I'm saying. So, but anyway, it's well reviewed. It's the first in a series of novels about a detective named Jackson Brody. And then that's B-R-O-C-K. I'm going to choose King Rat by China Mieville. And if you like fantasy, and you like fantasy that's a little bit different, you're going to have a hard time coming up with a better author to read than China Mieville. And King Rat's a very, very good book. And this is the cover for it. And I think this one's also a really, really pretty cover. And I guess this edition was published by Tor. It's part of the Tor Essentials. But anyway, and it's basically, I'm not even sure how to describe it. It's about this really intelligent rat. I don't know if he's the god of the rats, or if he's a man who thinks he's a rat, or a rat who thinks he's a man, or what. But it's pretty trippy. It'll blow your mind. I'm not going to spell out M-I-R-E. Brock is plenty. B-R-O-C-K. Also, we've still got to do Orson. Okay, so for Orson, the first O I chose was One Last Thing Before I Go by Jonathan Tropper. Okay, so this came to me at a very good time in my life because I read this book shortly after getting divorced. And lovely cover art here. And the story is about a guy named Drew Silver who's living in a hotel for men who have lost their wives. Basically, it's just a bunch of divorced men living there. And he is trying to rekindle his relationship with his daughter before he dies. And of course, I have daughters too, and I want to maintain my relationships with them. So I just did something weird here. Let's fix that. And then for R, for Brock, is Radical Honesty by Brad Blanton. This is sort of a self-help book, and it is also pretty unrealistic, but it's unusual in the extreme. Brad Blanton is a therapist, and he's a PhD, and the idea behind Radical Honesty is that you just say whatever the hell's on your mind and give up on any kind of lies at all, including the little white lies that we always tell. There's not a good cover here, but there it is. The subtitle is How to Transform Your Life by Telling the Truth. It's a fun read. It's pretty unrealistic, honestly. It might work for this Blanton guy, but, I've talked about it with some other friends of mine who thought it was interesting, but, I don't know. It's worth reading, though. For a while there, I tried to limit the amount of filter that I had and just talked about things that popped into my head, but, it didn't work out. I got divorced not long after that. For S, Orson, O-R-S, Salem's Lot by Stephen King. The finest vampire novel you'll read, short of Dracula by Bram Stoker. This is absolutely a terrific book. If it's not Stephen King's best novel, it's right up there. I'm really partial to 11/22/63, but I think the pacing and I just think everything about Salem's Lot is terrific. The characterization and stuff. Even if you don't like Stephen King, I think you got a pretty good shot at liking Salem's Lot. And then O-R-S-O, The One-Eyed Man by Ron Curry Jr., who's one of my favorite authors. He's been favorably compared multiple times with Kurt Vonnegut, who's a fine author in his own right. But One-Eyed Jack is about a guy who probably should have read Radical Honesty by Brad Blanton. His wife dies, and suddenly he's only able to talk about things in terms of literal truth. And eventually it makes him famous in a reality show kind of way. Lovely cover. I don't know why Ron Curry hasn't published a novel in many years, because you can't find any. It's really tough to find information about him, but he's one of my favorite authors I've read. My favorite novel is called Everything Matters by Ron Curry Jr. But anyway, he's terrific, and I hope he's going to write something soon. I believe that was the last novel he published, but I could be wrong. And then Orson's name ends with N, O-R-S-O-N. And for N, I have chosen another nonfiction book. You rarely hear me talk about nonfiction books on here, but this one is called, and it's one I haven't finished, Nightmare Movies, Horror on Screen Since the 1960s. And this is written by Kim Newman, who is a well-known authority on popular culture, especially science fiction and horror. I also have a book of his about Westerns, okay? So, number 4, what's your dog's relationship with books? Brock doesn't really have a relationship with books. He doesn't eat them or anything like that. Orson, on the other hand, does not have a great relationship with books. Orson likes to pee on things, and that's common among pugs. And we had a pug when I was growing up named Bergie, and Bergie spent a lot of time in the backyard. And one morning, my dad went to work every day at 8:30 in the morning, came home at 4:30 every afternoon. And he worked at the VA hospital about 3 miles from our house. He drove to work, but he could have walked easily. And we lived next door to one of Daddy's high school teachers. Her name was Mrs. Weeks. Lovely woman. Sarah Weeks was her name. She lived next door to us. She used to buy us ice cream sandwiches and give them to us over the fence. But Daddy was talking to her over the fence one morning, and he came back in the house cussing and upset because he was going to be late for work. And I said, well, what's wrong, Daddy? I'm probably 10 or 11 years old. He said, damn dog pissed on my leg. He stood still too long at the door. But anyway, so Orson has peed on a few of my books, and a few of my bookshelves are real close to the floor, and I just can't put books there unless I'm willing to risk Orson using them for target practice. So that's Orson's relationship with books. Number 5, what's your favorite book with a dog? My favorite book with a dog is called The Fool's Progress by Edward Abbey. It's about a 60-something-year-old man whose 4th wife leaves him at the very beginning of the novel. So he does what any 64-year-old man in that situation would do. He gets drunk on whiskey, bakes some loaves of bread, shoots his refrigerator with his gun, and the next morning he and his dog take off cross country to go visit his brother Will, who lives on the other side of the country, 3,000 miles away. And the dog is an important plot point in the book. Anyway, wonderful novel. Number 6, find a book on your shelves with a dog on the cover. I'm going to include virtual shelves, and I'm just going to stick with that old yeller dog cover that I already showed you. 7, find a book in your TBR that has the word dog in the title or has a dog in it. You know, I can't think of one right off the top of my head, although I plan to revisit Dog of the South at some point by Charles Portis, so we'll probably include that one. I've read it once or twice, but it's just entertaining as hell. I don't mind revisiting that at all. And who would you like to tag? You know what? I don't know which of my YouTube friends are dog people and which ones are not. I'm kind of going to go the same route that Steve Donahue went when he posted this. I'm going to say, you know what? If you have a dog and you want to do this tag, go for it. But this is the Booktube Dog Tag, and I thought it was pretty fun to make a video about it. So hopefully some of you guys will make videos about this too. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.